Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. We are pleased to welcome back our good friend Rodger DeRose, who is the president and CEO of Kessler Foundation. Good to see you, Rodger.
Thank you, Steve.
Rodger, since the last time we talked, something very significant has happened. There has been a survey that the Kessler Foundation has led that is very important. Talk about it.
Well, thanks for featuring this issue and the survey as well, Steve, on your show for your viewers. This is the 25th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it happens on July 26th. And so one of our contributions to this significant milestone is conducting this survey that is really focused on the work experiences of people with disabilities and how they overcome many of the barriers that they face as they enter into the workplace. And this particular survey is different from other surveys that have been done in the past, in that those surveys have only really focused on the gaps, the major issues that people with disabilities have had, but not how they've overcome them in the workplace. And that's what this survey has done. And it shows the hopefulness of people with disabilities as they continue to strive for work. And that's the key takeaway from this. That's the headline, is people with disabilities are striving to work. They want to make a contribution to their family, to society, and to the community at large.
Rodger, as we put up the website for the foundation, tell everyone exactly what the foundation is and what you're dedicated to.
Sure. Kessler Foundation is all about helping to change the lives of people with disabilities. Everyone knows Kessler Institute as one of the leading medical rehabilitation centers in the country and the world. Kessler Foundation has a mission that is focused on research, medical research, that is creating new medical interventions for brain and spinal cord injured patients, for stroke patients, for MS patients, multiple sclerosis patients. But we don't stop there. We also work on how do we engage people with disabilities back into the community and the family, and that's where we invest a significant amount of funds in terms of employment initiatives to demonstrate to corporations, to small businesses, to other organizations that people with disabilities can make a shareholder contribution to those organizations.
Kessler Foundation is, in fact, one of the underwriters of the work that we do at the Caucus Educational Corporation in terms of trying to understand more about the issues you're talking about. But this survey that Kessler Foundation commissioned, if you will, found the following. I want you to talk about this. The key finding is that nearly 69% of people with disabilities are striving to work. Now, was that surprising, or is that surprising to people?
It was, and I think it is to the disability community, to politicians who are legislators that are creating the public benefits program that, you know, we should probably talk about as well, Steve. But the other part of it is that when we talk about striving to work, we're talking about vigorously pursuing something. And I think the myth, Steve, is that people with disabilities only want to accept the public benefits that are bestowed on them and stay at home and not participate in the workforce. And so striving to work, preparing for the job, education, training, searching for the job in terms of networking with family members, going directly to corporations, working with the rehabilitation organizations in the state, and then actually working and seeking more hours in the job as well. Those are all components that I think show the determination of people with disabilities in wanting to work for the reasons I mentioned before.
But Rodger, the survey also found that people with disabilities are encountering specific barriers. The three top barriers: not enough education or training, or the people, I guess there's an assumption that there's not enough education or training, employers' assumption that they couldn't do the job, or lack of transportation. Are these real barriers, perceived barriers? What?
Yeah, the myths in once an individual that enters the workforce with a disability is that they oftentimes find that the manager and coworkers don't believe that they can actually do the job because of the disability.
So they're not even given the chance?
Well, they may get into the assignment, but they're not perceived as being able to do the assignment until they demonstrate and prove it. So that's how they're overcoming that barrier. Once they get into the assignment, that they can actually do the job, be as productive, working side by side, being held accountable for the same metrics, hopefully getting the same pay. But we have found that there is some disparity in terms of the pay that people with disabilities have.
Did the survey find that?
Yes, yes.
That there's disparity in pay?
Yes. Yeah, and so the transportation issue is always another issue that comes up. But these are the myths that people with disabilities face every day of their life. And they want to demonstrate that they can be just as creative, just as productive, and just as loyal as an able-bodied individual that works in the workplace.
The other big findings that really are interesting to me have to do with health insurance. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
Denial of health insurance.
Well, you know, the great thing about the Affordable Care Act, and I know this has been hotly debated by, you know, political pundits over the last couple of years, but the great thing about the Affordable Care Act is that you don't face pre-existing conditions any longer. So you can't be turned down. But I think the issue that people with disabilities face is if they're on a public benefits program, for example, Social Security disability insurance, they automatically qualify for Medicare or Medicaid. And the issue that they face is that they oftentimes don't want to give that up. And once you start earning income, once you go over a threshold, those benefits start to disappear. And then the issue becomes for a person with disabilities, Steve, is can they afford the insurance that an employer might be offering to them at the expense that they have to pay to enter into that insurance premium? So it varies by employer, by the type of insurance programs that they have, and how people with disabilities participate in those programs.
A couple things. First of all, put up the website if we could. If people want to get more information about the survey, can they find it on the Foundation's website?
Yes, it's right on the homepage at KesslerFoundation.org.
Most significant impact that you and your colleagues at Kessler Foundation want to make and have with this survey is?
I would say there are several things, Steve. Number one, that we want to use the funds, we want to use the survey data to improve how we invest our funds in grant making.
So the Foundation's dollars?
Yes, our Foundation dollars in terms of the investments we make with other nonprofits that are helping people with disabilities find jobs. And so if we can target our dollars more effectively based on the information that we've received from the survey, that's good.
Based on needs?
Based on needs. The other part, Steve, is that I hope that other grant makers, the Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, the Helmsley Foundation, the Gate Foundation, that may not be focused on disabilities today, will recognize that if 20% of the population of the United States has some form of a disability, cognitive, physical, learning disability, that's a significant number. That is the majority minority in this country. That is larger than the Hispanic population.
It's the biggest minority.
That's the biggest minority population. I call it the majority minority. And if they recognize that this is a significant population, that hopefully they'll spend some of their dollars directed towards helping people with disabilities find employment initiatives. And the third area, Steve, that I think is so important is that our public benefits programs for people with disabilities are out of alignment today. You know, these are over 60 years old, these programs. And in many cases, Steve, they act as a disincentive to the person with a disability to re-enter the workforce. And that's what I hope that our politicians, our legislators in Washington will start to address, is take a fresh look at the Social Security disability income and the other programs that surround it, like supplemental security income, and rework those to make them modified and more acceptable to today's needs for
policy
people with
changes.
Policy changes.
Rodger DeRose is the president and CEO of Kessler Foundation. This is an important survey. Go on the website at the Foundation to get more information. Rodger, we look forward to continued conversations about these incredibly important issues. 20% of the population. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by TD Bank, Virtua, NJIT, United Water, New Jersey Sharing Network, Cone Resnick, and by United Airlines. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.